ABC7 is connecting you with events and people in our community that inspire others. And today, you can watch celebrities, scientists, politicians, activists who share their success stories at the annual TEDxMidwest conference. And two Chicagoans are part of that conference. They are here. Zoe Damasella went from rags to riches, literally, from being homeless to a fashion designer. Glad to hear her story in just a moment. Also, Emerson Sparks is a young internet expert. I asked him, when did you start? Like when you were 3 months old? Because he's such a youngster right now. So first and foremost, both of you, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
What is the point of this event and this conference? Obviously, you two are playing a part of it. Explain your role. What are you expected to do?
I think ultimately TED is a place where some of the best and brightest minds in the world share their most creative thoughts and ideas and help to inspire others to take action. So today it's TEDxMidwest. This is one of the bigger TED events, and we're going to be speaking to some of Chicago Public Schools' best and brightest and hopefully helping to share our stories, our entrepreneurial stories, and maybe help them start the next big thing.
Yeah, that is fabulous. Just to kind of get a spark going. Emerson, tell us about your story. I know you've been on the internet, interactive. How did this all happen? And today, when you're speaking, you kind of have a timeline where you need to put your life story in 15 minutes or so, right?
Right. So when I was 12, I convinced my parents to let me drop out of school and start homeschooling myself. So I had a very non-traditional self-education where I was designing and developing my own curriculum.
How did you convince them of that, first of all? Like, oh, yeah, and your mom and dad agreeing to it?
I was a very precocious and inquisitive child, so I didn't think they saw it as a huge risk because I was very self-driven and motivated. So I started MuggleNet a month later because I had all this free time, and I came across one of the free webpage makers, and it looked like fun, and then I began spending 10 hours a day working on it. And MuggleNet ended up becoming the #1 Harry Potter website, generating 50 million page views a month. I was managing a part paid, part volunteer staff of 120. We published 3 books, one of which was a New York Times bestseller. We had the #1 podcast in the world, and I was able to just learn a lot at a very, very young age.
So today, when you speak to all these young minds, young people, what is going to be your #1 message to them about your story?
Study people who have already been successful and do what they do. There's this common misconception that you have to be super creative and come up with everything from scratch, but whatever problem you're trying to solve, someone's already probably solved that very similar problem. So finding mentors, finding advisors, finding people who have already blazed the path, doing what you want to do, and then soaking up every possible piece of information you can from them, because they will prevent you from hitting all these dead ends and wasted time. So find someone who's been successful and learn as much as you can from them.
Don't create the wheel all over again. Zoe,
Yes.
just tell us about your story, too. You were a young woman, single mother, single family, struggling along, and really living kind of in shelters?
Yeah, definitely. I live with my mom, and I started my first business when I was 8. And then I started Zoe Damasella Apparel when I was 14. And now we show collections all over the world. We have an amazing staff, and it's like I'm living my dream of being a fashion designer now.
You're living your dream. And what got you to this point?
I think it was just having the mentality of not letting anything hold you back. Even though I came from a poor family, even though I grew up with a single mother, even though we struggled with homelessness, I had this passion. I knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I knew that I wanted to do something creative, and so I didn't let any of my circumstances limit that.
Right. You just didn't put yourself in a box. You were limitless. So what are you going to tell all the young minds today?
I'm going to be talking about just some important life lessons that I've learned along the way.
What's one of them?
I think one of them is take advantage of the resources that you have available. You know, I didn't have a ton of resources. I learned how to sew from watching YouTube videos, from, reading books about sewing, going to the library, looking up things. You know, no matter what you're limited to or what you have available to you, I think learning how to tap into all those resources and take advantage of what you do have is a really important skill.
Both of you, can't hardly wait to... What a great event, first of all, to feature great minds like both of you and success stories, and to be examples for younger people, too. So thank you both. Appreciate it. And let me tell you, again, registration for the TEDxMidwest conference event, it's closed, but you can watch the speakers live. You can do that online. You can also later watch the videos on YouTube. So Zoe speaks. You speak at 12:30 today, right? Yep. And Emerson is at 2:45, correct? Just making sure we have it right there. So we've posted all the details, all the information, all the links, too, on our website. So you could just go to abc7chicago.com. Be sure to click on See It on TV.